Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow, inviting you as always to take a deep breath in, open mouth exhale, and relish in this gift we call life in this present moment. Thank you for joining the podcast. This is a live streaming experience, Nameless Energy, because this is the title of my debut album. Because energy can be nameless, right? And energy is energy. And I'm trusting that you're going to feel the amazing energy today. I have a guest, Audra, that I'll introduce in just a moment. And in the meantime, I want to make sure that you are interacting and playing with us today. So comment, ask a question, and share this. If anything, help us out with the algorithms. Just choose your favorite emoji, whatever that is. And you can always follow me on all the social media platforms, DTO Music, find me on Spotify, all your music apps. And if you are feeling called to come to Costa Rica, where my beloved Himalaya and I are at, we have a healing and beautiful retreat sanctuary that is called Embody, which stands for Empowerment, Movement, Breakthroughs, Opportunities, Dharma, and Yoga. So if that feels aligned with your chakras, then Himalaya and I would love to have you come and visit. We have retreats that we offer in December through our curricular pathway. And then we have mini classes, workshops that people will teach on our land. And we'll be at Envision Festival coming up in Costa Rica. And so check out, we have a couple classes called Transformational Movement. And then I have a set on Sunday evening on the El Circo stage. So come and boogie down, celebrate life. It's a party in the jungle. And we also would love for you, if you want to have a private or small group experience on our land. The beauty is we're only 25 minutes from the San Jose, Costa Rica airport. So feel free to come and really enjoy what it is on this sacred land. And we are in the Central Valley Mountains where there's waterfalls, hot springs, organic coffee tours, if you like that, and such a beautiful, authentic location in Central America. So wherever you are on the planet, if you're in Europe, if you're in North America, Latin America, we would love to invite you here. And so today I get to interview my guest. And as you can see, it's Audra. And this podcast, we're going to dive deep into the origin story of who Audra is and who she is with her offerings. As you can see on the screen, it says that she's offering breath work, wellness, and this is her business to really support people to reach their optimal selves and their wellness and their highest potential. Without further ado, here is Audra. Nice to see you.
So good to see you, Dave. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. So before we went live, we learned that we're both a couple Midwestern kids.
Yes, I'm from Minnesota originally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're from Iowa, which is we're basically neighbors.
We're just stacked on top of each other, right? There's Canada, Minnesota, then Iowa. And we share the Mississippi River. And I grew up right on the banks of the Mississippi. Big shout out to my Muscatine, Iowa peeps that might be watching this. I'm actually going to be attending my 30-year high school class reunion this summer, 2023.
Oh, wow.
Graduated
in 1993.
Amazing. And I shared with you in 1993 when I graduated, got my diploma. I went directly to Tulum in the Yucatan area of Mexico, and you're living in that region. You're in Mexico, and I'm in Costa Rica. So there's something really powerful I feel about being in Latin America. It's such a beautiful, sacred land. And yeah, it's so great. And the weather, right? We don't have to shovel snow anymore.
Yeah, for sure. We both wanted to migrate to the jungle, apparently.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. Welcome to the jungle. I love it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, this is a 5Q interview. So we're going to jump right in with question number 1. How did you discover breath work?
Okay, I love this question. So 2016 was sort of actually my rock bottom moment. I was going through a lot of transitions. I was living in Australia at the time, actually with the man that I was engaged to be married to. And things were really not working out, and I felt like it was out of alignment. So I actually ended up breaking up with him, and that was traumatic in a lot of ways because I lost my community, I lost my friendships, and I also lost my opportunity to stay in the country of Australia, and I had to move home. So I moved back home to be closer to my family. And that was when I really started to kind of check in with my body and realize that I wasn't doing as okay as I thought, and realize that I was secretly binge eating and struggling with my relationship with my food. And I didn't want to tell anybody about it. I had a lot of guilt, I had a lot of shame, and I started looking for answers. So I was studying nutrition at the time. I was reading every book that I could get my hands on. I started going to therapy. I started working with healers. And actually, a woman that I was working with at the time, she was my nutritionist. She invited me to one of her holistic workshops that she was presenting. This was in 2018. And she had all this amazing, beautiful raw food and crystals. And she told her story. It was so beautiful. And then she had everyone lay in a circle and do breath work. And that was my first experience. Now, when I left that workshop, I literally, like, my mind was blown. I was like, what was that? Like, why do we ever need drugs? Why do we ever need anything else? Like, that was so profound for me in that moment, because what I was experiencing was like almost like an out of body experience. And I kept going back to her classes. I kept going back and experimenting. I never really did it on my own. I was only doing it in the classroom setting. But a couple of months later, I started really diving deep into my own practice and discovering the breath and really understanding what it feels like in my own body. And I started showing up for it every single day. I was doing 40 minutes a day in the morning. And it was as if there was a switch that just turned on in my body, and everything that I had been struggling with in terms of the eating, the overeating, the binge eating, and even at the time I was drinking every night, I started to feel clearer and more light in my body, and I didn't feel hunger for the same types of foods. I didn't feel cravings for the same types of foods. Everything that was out of alignment for me at the time just started to naturally fade away. And so for me, when I started to notice those experiences, I knew right away what it was and how powerful this practice really is.
Amazing. And it's interesting. We have such a similar pathway where I know you and I growing up in the Midwest, you eat, the standard American diet, which interestingly spells out SAD for sad.
Right, right.
And when you start to have like fresh juices and smoothies and raw foods, and I don't know, this is a pathway that I was on. And as I earlier shared with you, and I'll pull it up for those people that haven't seen this image of me, where I had a massive transformation by choosing to eat life-enhancing foods that were providing vibrancy, vitality, and aliveness to my organism. And that's what DTO stands for, Dave the Organism. And that's who I am as an artist, musician, but that's truly recognizing that we're in these temples. And when we get to be caretakers of these bodies that we get to reside in this lifetime, we're like, wow, like, what would it be like and feel like if I started to feed it, just like if you were to feed, a non-human animal in your home. You're not going to just give your dog, your cat, or whatever. We have iguanas on our land. They're free range though. They just eat what they want to. But it's not we're going to give them something that has life destructive qualities to them, right? I mean, some people, and you know this, Audra, there's people that will purchase better quality food for their pets or their, as I'd like to say, companion animals than they would for themselves. So I feel like this is a beautiful answer to the first question, because it's like you have this realization of, wow, there's this energy out there, right? With healing crystals and other opportunities. And then with the food that we eat, that's amazing. And then the breath work, right? Then it's like, you get to fill in and really optimize your ability to feel alive. So let's jump into question 2 then. So then, what inspired you to teach breath work and teach about how, health and wellness, essentially?
Yes. Okay. So this kind of goes off of my story. So back in 2018, when I first started doing breath work, I was actually in a pretty dark place, still looking for answers, still discovering my truth. And I was living at the time in Las Vegas. and I was working in the nightclubs as a dancer. And every night I was eating so much food after I would get home from work. And every night at work, it was part of the job to drink. So that was why I was drinking every night. So it was bringing me into this like really downward spiral. Yeah, that's me, 2018 in Las Vegas, living the nightlife, living it up. And it was crazy because for me, that was a whole lifestyle. Like I would stay up working until sometimes 6 a.m. in the morning, and I would sleep all day, and then I would just get ready at night and do it all over again. And as you can imagine, that's not very good for your mental health, especially the drinking, the staying up all night, and the environments that I was in with the music and smoking and what I felt like I had to do for money. Anyways, so when I started practicing breath work, that was when this alignment started to take place, and I started to realize what I was actually doing to myself. And I naturally was able to come into alignment with my pure energy, and I didn't feel like I wanted food or alcohol or drugs or anything in my field. So I had decided, I was starting to feel this light, and I started decided that I wanted to experiment with fasting. So I thought I'm going to go on a 7-day juice fast and try the breath work and do the breath work every day and see what happens. So I ended up doing this 7-day juice fast cleanse. And that 7 days ended up turning into 97 days of not eating solid food. I was just having juices, coconut water, smoothies, and sometimes soup. And to be honest, I didn't actually want to tell anybody about my adventure and my experiment, what I was trying, because I didn't want people to judge me or think that I was like weird or had another eating disorder, but I just knew what was true for me. And so I didn't really start sharing about this on my social media until about like day 50 or somewhere around there. Excuse me. And somewhere along the line, I started making YouTube videos about my lifestyle and the juices that I was making and the breath work and like everything that I was doing. And somewhere along the line, there was a reporter that found my page, and she reached out to me and asked if they could do a story. And I was like, sure. Like, what do you want to know? Here's some pictures. Like, let me know if that's good. And then a week later, I was featured in major news headlines all over the world. It was Daily Mail, Yahoo
Yeah,
News, Fox News,
Fox News.
all these headlines saying that
Amazing.
this 25-year-old girl claims to not need food. She just breathes for energy. Which, okay, to an extent, yes, that's what I was doing, but I do think that they kind of dramatized the headlines a little bit. And taking pictures off of my Instagram, like my bikini pictures and things like that. And so I obviously got a lot of attention from these headlines and from the news. And so people started coming to me through my Instagram or messaging me saying like, I want to learn how to do what you're doing. Can you show me how to do this? I want to learn how to fast. But the only thing that I could think of sharing was the breath work, because I knew before I ever started fasting or feeling this energy in my body, I knew that it was the breath, because the more that I did the breath work, the more that I didn't feel the need to eat dense foods. So that's when I started working with people. So at the time, I was actually still working in the strip clubs, and I didn't really see a way out. Like I thought, that's just what I'm going to do. That's what I know how to do. This is how I make money. This is me, whatever. But when people started reaching out to me, that was the first time in my mind where I was like, wait, I could do this as a job. Like I could actually help people. This is actually helping people to solve problems. So that's when I started working with women from all over the world, women who struggled with binge eating and struggled with their relationship with their food. And I taught them how to do the breath work and helped them show up for themselves every single day to start feeling these benefits. And it's amazing how this works. Like this actually helps people heal their relationship with their body and heal their relationship with food.
Amazing. And talking about the dramatization and the glamorization, it's awesome how you leverage that opportunity to really go to a healing place of where it all begins, right? Without breath, there's no life, and life
Mhm.
with breath creates opportunities and expansion. And
Exactly.
what was that like for you to hear so many messages from people that were seeking out a way to, in a sense, like get out of their life destructive routines, right? It's really like a plea, a help. Like, what can you do for me, Audra? How did that feel for you to kind of be put into that? As question two here is about, you're now a teacher, right? Before you were the
Right.
student learning about all this energy work. Now all of a sudden it's like you get this opportunity to be, in support of others. What was that like for you?
It was very humbling. Like, I never saw myself in this position. So to be able to have people reach out to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. But there were so many opportunities where I was just thrown into the fire and I just have to learn. And like one of the first opportunities that I ever had to teach in person was at a festival, and there was, I want to say, 200 people in my class. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't even have the playlist made until that day. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I just
Yeah.
showed up, and that's kind of been the theme of my journey, is just showing up, starting before I'm ready, and just going for it, and knowing that I am equipped and I have everything I need. Otherwise I wouldn't be in this position.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah. And I feel like from a deeper level, your soul was designed to be that beacon of light and that hope, and to be, as you said, thrown into the fire. I mean, that's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we expand. Anyone that's done any transformational education, we know this, that you're not going to switch and change the shape unless you actually get pushed or called forward or stretch yourself
Mhm.
into it, right? If I started pumping iron a lot more recently. So like if you're going to grow muscles, you literally tear your muscles to grow muscles, right? So there's
Yes.
a point of like discomfort or being uncomfortable. So for your nervous system, right? You're like, oh my gosh, there's 200 people here. How am I going to present? But for you to go for it and your nerves are like, and also I think if you're nervous, it's a good thing. It proves that you care, that you really want
Mhm.
to show up for people.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you went
I
through
think
that.
there's another aspect of that too, is that you have to be willing to be misunderstood, because I know I learned that when those news articles came out, I got a ton of hate along with people
Mm,
wanting to learn from me, but there was also people that were saying, this girl's promoting an eating disorder, her account should be banned, like she doesn't know what she's talking about, she's crazy. And I had people making fun of me like in these videos on YouTube, and it was just like hard for me to compute, because I was like, I'm literally doing this to help people and you guys are making fun of me. But that's part of the journey. You have to be
yeah.
willing to put yourself out there, and it's okay if people might misunderstand you, but at least you need to know that you can stand in your truth through all of that.
Yeah, that's a really important and powerful point. I feel like that's a major distinguishing moment for people that are called into a leadership role. People that choose the path of leadership know that, hey, there's going to be resistance, there's going to be questioning, there's going to be misunderstandings. Then how do you have this quantum leap beyond that and say, I'm going to go for it anyway, despite of
Hmm.
the breakdowns or the barriers. And as you know, we're from different parts of the world than other people maybe that are listening to this. There's certain traditions or old patterns and belief systems that people have. And that's exactly where we get to go beyond that and say, well, let's explore. To me, it's always about curiosity. And that's exactly what I feel is the commonality in our journey of like, what would it be like to actually do some fasting? And, fasting has been around for millennial, like the history of time. Himalaya fasts once a week, and it's part of like her traditions from India, and it's culturally a part of it. Just because you happen to be born in a culture where we're taught to just cram food out of a bag down our systems all day long and not like conscious about it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that, hey, there's other pathways. And I think for me personally, I did what I was doing when I was doing it, and then I just went beyond that. And for me, it took, a big scare in my life, which was my dad being diagnosed with prostate cancer, which like, oh, this is not
Wow.
the trajectory. This is not the path I get to be on. So sometimes you need to have like this big wake up call to do that. And I feel like in what you're sharing is like being thrown into a fire, like, well, here's this opportunity to be at a festival and to jump into it and get, the haters are going to hate, as Taylor Swift would sing, you know,
For
and,
sure.
and you can't be, of course it bumps us out. I think we're all, by nature, we're sensitive beings, right? We're multi-dimensional and we have multi-senses. So there's a part of us, like if someone tells me my music doesn't like do something for them, and some people say it's like, oh my gosh, your music's extraordinary. It's like, hey, different strokes for different folks. So, well, congrats to you to listen to the haters a little bit, but then just keep moving forward despite of it, and probably just, bolstered you to even say, okay, I'm going to really make sure that I can move forward and find my people that are going to enjoy this message. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. So speaking about the people that found your message, question 3 are the students and the people that have attended your workshops, your classes, your online programs, and all the offerings that you have. So what are some testimonials, or what are some keywords that people pretty much share with you when they describe your teaching style and the results that they get by working with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people that I've worked with, or my students, they believe in my work because I believe in it so much and I can really get that message across. And so that's what makes them buy in and makes them say, like, okay, I want to try, give this breathwork thing a try, is seeing stories and seeing testimonials. But it's like when you actually try it for yourself, there's no going back. Like you feel the experience for yourself, you know what it's like in your body, and you can continue with it if you want to go down that path, or you can stop if you don't. And it's really up to you. And that's kind of my approach with this is I want to encourage people in my programs to try this for at least a few weeks. Every day, wake up and do breath work on an empty stomach, first thing in the day, first thing before you check your phone, before you do anything, and just try this for yourself to see what this feels like in your own body. And if you will notice a shift. And then I tell people, take a day off, take a week off, and see how you feel. How does life adjust to this now? And you can see. But it's really interesting because now that I've been doing this for a few years, it's been about 3 years that I've been teaching online. I get students coming back like years later thanking me because sometimes it does take that long to realize what this is actually doing in your life and how the breath can help you to literally change the trajectory of your future on a physical nervous system level. It helps you to create on a whole new plane, on a whole new level. So it's interesting, like even this morning, I got a message from one of my students from last year, and she was just like, thank you so much for introducing me to this. I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have this practice. I don't know what I would be doing. And she just was sending me so much gratitude. Not that it has to take a year to feel the effects. Like for me, it was literally 7 days. But over time, it gets better and it gets better and it gets better, and you feel more of the benefits. And that's when you really start to realize how this practice is so life-changing.
Yeah, the analogy I love is when you're making popcorn, there's certain kernels that pop pretty immediately, and then there's other ones that take a few minutes, and then there's some kernels that don't pop. So I love how, as you said, it took 7 days for you to really have these results, and then for other people it may take longer. And the work's the work, though. Breath work is powerful. We know this, and yeah, I love that. There's a variety of results that people get, and in the conversation of space and time, which could be a whole other podcast. It's like, but it's all about consistency. I think that's always the theme of anything in life. If you want results, consistency. And as you said, it's really powerful. And I'll even take that challenge on to like not look at my phone in the morning. Can be, these little magic light boxes are pretty addictive.
Yeah,
well, they're designed to be addictive. That's the whole thing, right?
But you can break that too.
Totally. And that's where I feel like these beautiful pieces of advice and wisdom of like beginning your day, like in the natural world. And ideally, I'm sure you'd recommend just going outside, right? And be in nature if possible.
Exactly. Yeah, as close to nature as possible.
I love that. Okay. Well, question 4 then is, what are your current offerings? And let's pull up Euphoria. Would you like to share about that?
Yes, Euphoria is a workshop that I am presenting to be able to teach you how to shift your mood on demand. So if we look at, I love the law of attraction and the basics of The Secret. And I'm sure a lot of listeners know this, but what you put out is what you get back. And it's so simple to think of it this way, but a lot of people say you need to change your thoughts, you need to change your words, you need to change your energy, because your energy that you're putting out is the energy that you're receiving. But if we take a look at this and we take a step back and understand that the way that you breathe creates the way that you think and the way that you feel and the way that you vibrate, and in turn creates your reality. Because every thought, every feeling, and every emotion has a correlating brainwave frequency and breathing pattern. So this means that if you're in a state of fear and anxiety, you're breathing in a certain way. And when you're in a state of joy and bliss and happiness, you're breathing in a certain way. So the challenge here, or the opportunity here, really, is to look at your nervous system, see what you can do to work with your body as a magnet, and get yourself in an aligned place where you can change your mood on demand. You can get yourself into a state of bliss no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what is going on in your life, bringing you back to your whole nature of abundance, bliss, freedom, happiness, and health. And we're doing that all through the breath. So in the 6 weeks of Euphoria, you're going to be learning all of the tools, ancient tools, the breath work, the meditation, the nutrition, the mindset, everything to get you in alignment with your natural state so that you can start to shift the things externally without a lot of effort, without doing too much work.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I agree with this statement on your website is bliss is your birthright. The bliss body, right? That's the Ananda, as they say in India, in yoga, right? Ananda Balasana is like the happy baby where you're in bliss. I love that. Yeah, we're not here to suffer. I think the Buddha said we're not here to suffer. So it's like suffering is optional.
Optional. You don't have to. And that's what I
Yeah.
want to show in this training is like it all comes down to you. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. You change your body, you change your mind, and you create this reality, everything around you.
Yeah, and I love how, as it says here, your mood decides your destiny and you get to choose. And no matter what you do in life, for anyone listening right now, it's always an inside job, right? You always get to take that journey within, awaken your inner child, the bliss, the curiosity. And obviously, emotions are temporary. And I think it's a good thing for us to remember that, because sometimes we feel like this single emotion that we're having, although there's multitudes of emotions that we get to experience throughout days, if not hours, or within a few minutes, you can feel bliss, sadness, joy, all of it. But what I love is what you're teaching, Audra, is how you really, when you're in your breath work, it's like you get to control, be the commander of your own spaceship.
Exactly. You get to control it.
Amazing. Okay, so what I love here is what people can expect to have with the curriculum. So number one is how to instantly change your emotional state. We're just talking about. Number two is how your mood determines your destiny. Number three, removing common triggers for stress and anxiety. 4, recalibrating your nervous system for a peaceful life. Number 5, the gut-brain connection, nutrition, and lifestyle upgrades. And number 6, daily practices to stay in alignment with your new state. Yes.
Yes.
It's all about, like a car, you got to maintain it.
Yes. Yeah. But once you know the tools, it's up to you. You can use it or not, but you know the way. It's all there for you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So great.
Yeah.
And so how can people find you online? Where's the best place for people to go? And if they want to sign up for this offering and learn more about you and your work in the world?
Yeah, so my name on Instagram and YouTube and everything is just my name. It's very simple, Audra Bear, and that is my real name. A lot of people think that it's like a spiritual name or a nickname, but that's my birth name. So pretty easy to remember. And then another thing that I have coming up too is that I actually have a program to certify other people to teach breathwork as well. And in this training, it's actually an 8-week training, completely online. We'll go through multiple different styles of breath work, how to do them, how to teach them, and the science of breath, how it works in the body and why, but then also really diving into the business side and how you can reach you, how you can connect with people all around the world, how you can help people, because I see business as a vehicle. It's an avenue to help you to actually make an impact on the world and help people. So I want to give as much value on that side as I can. And I've had students come through that program and literally after 8 weeks start taking on their first clients. So it doesn't have to be a long process. You can do it now. If you have a desire, if you have any sort of call to help people in the world, this is an amazing avenue because breathwork is so powerful and it can help with a lot of problems.
I love that. And as you can see, everyone down below here, you can go to Audra Bear on the Instagram and then thebreathworktraining.com. And let me put up your Instagram for anyone that would like to see the kind of content that Audra is sharing. Exploring the unknown. And as you can see here, the breathwork training, you can always follow her on that. And I love how you have a lot of inspirational quotes.
Yes.
Your imagination creates your reality. Oh, I love the coolest part about being a human being is our imagination, because we get to create in our mind's eye and our third eye, and then we get to, put feet on the ground and make it happen. It's really fun.
Yes. I want more people to be able to access that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody can access it, but I think we don't realize that that's there.
Absolutely. And then negative imagination is anxiety, right? Like if you're worried, if you're stressed, if you're feeling, that tiger from the bush is going to jump out and attack you, it's a primordial part of us, right? Survival.
Right.
And at the same time, if I feel like what you're teaching is the pathway of breath, where if you're breathing, then the anxiety can actually start to dissipate. And so anxiety is predicting a dreadful future, therefore creating it, right? So however we can release our anxiety, and a lot of that is supporting with the breath, because then we get to slow our body, our system down, slow our pulse. And sometimes people are just forgetting that it's all connected, right? So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling fear, guess what? Your heart's racing faster. It's impacting your whole body. And you know this, Audra, you've heard of so many people that come to you with a stressful life that get really great results by actually doing the work and relaxing and slowing down and a little pause.
Yes, so powerful.
Wonderful. So let's jump into question 5 of our 5Q interview. So this is an opportunity, Audra, for you to share any closing words, advice, or wisdom.
Amazing. Yeah, I think going back to what we were talking about before, like suffering is optional. And if someone had told me that years ago, I probably would have thought that they were lying, because all I ever saw and all I ever experienced was struggle and poverty and stress and dysregulation, disorder, disease. Even, we live in a world where there's so many of these things around us, and it's easy to forget that this is actually absolutely the most exciting time to be alive, and heaven on earth is available. It's here, and it starts from within. It starts from working with your body as a technology, as a machine. It starts with cleansing your body from the inside out, fueling yourself with proper nutrition, proper foods, fueling your mind with proper content and encouragement. And our eyes are like reflectors. What we see and what we bring in is what we put out. And so the more that you can consume positive imagery and hear positive sounds and music, that's what you're going to create in your life. So my advice would be to protect your energy, feed yourself with positivity. What you're bringing in is what you're creating. And if you want to create a beautiful life and a beautiful environment, then surround yourself with that. And don't pay attention to negativity. Don't pay attention to sickness and disease and the things that are going on in the world, because you have everything you want available to you. It's all right here. It's just about changing your energy and coming into that space.
Thank you. I love that. I feel like honoring yourself is really powerful. And there's so much, as you said, with like our eyes, like we're so much like distracted and look over there and squirrel. So I love this rootedness, this groundedness, and to really get back to basics in our breath and to choose our own pathway and to empower ourselves. So I honor you for doing this, and it's so wonderful. And I love how you mentioned music, of course, because having music that can raise the vibrations can be really empowering, and moving the body, dancing, and just feeling in your own vibration can be amazing. So
yeah, I actually think the first song that I heard of yours was called Breathe.
Yes.
And I love that song so much.
So wonderful. Well, I have a friend, Alan, who's live with us. He lives in South America. So now we have all three Americas represented. You're in North America, I'm in Central, and Alan's in South America. So he said, awesome show. Dave and Audra, I'm very interested. Saved all the contact info. Awesome. Amazing. Wonderful. So cool. Thank you,
Dave,
everyone, for
I'm
joining.
Curious to hear, what are your closing words or your piece of advice?
My advice is really about the word empowerment, and that's what the E in embody means at Costa Rica. And there's so many ways that we are disempowered in this life, of being told that you're not enough, you're not good enough. Society is, putting you in this direction, whether it's the billboards, whether it's all the advertisement that we've consumed our whole lives, which is very materialistic, right? So we feel like, oh, I'm never enough. And you mentioned the word poverty, and you and I are from the Midwest, where it's very middle class or lower middle class living in many regions. And I started working when I was 10 years old, having a paper route, and I worked in the cornfields, and I always felt like there was always someone else that had more than me, that was more valuable, more worthy, right? And so there's a lot of disempowerment in my stories to myself. And now I'm in this place where I recognize how the really morsel of wisdom for everyone is to have that empowerment and be the commanders of your own spaceship, your own organism, your own ability to live the dreams. And whatever the vision is that you have, even if it's going back in time and like, what did you dream about when you were a child? Or maybe you have these lucid dreams now, but then you wake up and you're like, oh, that'll never happen. And you're disempowered. So that's my words of wisdom, is to whatever it takes to be empowered. And as you said, the song that you love, Audra, is Breathe. Listen to music, remember to breathe, and stay in that flow and be creative. And that's one of the whole parts of this podcast, is to be empowered and be creative. And Audra, obviously you've taken this from a level of, well, now you're empowering other people that have taken your courses to then create their own businesses, right? For their empowerment and their growth and expansion. I think I read once where something like 70% of the US population of workers hate their jobs. And that's disempowerment in its fullest form. Like, can you imagine putting 40 hours per week of your life towards whatever goal or task or work, and then you hate doing that? It's like you're exerting energy in the wrong direction. So empowerment really is like, how can you put it towards something that's supporting not only yourself, but being in service of others, so they can discover who they are. So that's
exactly.
Yeah. Amazing.
I love
Everything
that.
is perfect.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. Yes, everything is perfect.
So lovely. Well, I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed again, and we get to share about your journey and the backstory. Not everyone may be aware of that about you. And so it's really wonderful we can have this 5Q interview. And I trust that anyone that Alan or anyone else that's been listening to this show today, to reach out directly. And again, you can go to Instagram, Audra Bear, and go to the website, thebreathworktraining.com. And as always, if you want to reach out to me, same thing on Instagram, any social media site, you can go and explore what we're up to. And thank you again. I'm so grateful
thank you for
we
having
connected.
me. Yeah, and your retreat in Costa Rica sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to be messaging you next time I come to Costa Rica.
Please do. Yeah, maybe you can hold a retreat on our land. We'd love that.
That would be amazing.
Some breath
Yeah.
work.
Cool.
Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and keep on enjoying your day, everyone. Blessings.
Incredible. Thank you, DTO. Thank you for everyone watching.
All right. Bye-bye. Ciao for now.